Leading story here on Channel 44 by giving you an update from our reporter Lukhanyo Calata, who is in Nasrec in the south of Johannesburg. Good afternoon to you, Lukhanyo. Won't you quickly bring us up to speed in terms of today's developments? It is day 2 of the ANC's policy conference.
Paul, good afternoon. Yes, you're right. We're still coming to you from Nasrec, where we are broadcasting, of course, the ANC's 5th National Policy Conference. We started yesterday. We will continue right up until Wednesday. This is a very crucial conference for the ANC, because what is decided here are essentially the building blocks upon which the next administration, the next leadership of the movement will then take the country forward for the next 10 years. I am joined now by Mamulindi Wezulu. She's the head of the drafting committee of the ANC, but she also, in her other role, she serves as the Minister for Small Business Development. So I want to talk to her a little bit about the economic issues and the economic policies of the ANC at this time. Ma'am, let me bring you in. Thank you very much and good afternoon for joining us.
Yes, good afternoon and good afternoon to the viewers at home.
Thank you, ma'am. Very crucial time for the ANC to be holding this policy conference. It comes at a time where the economy is not at its best. We're in a technical recession. How crucial is this period for the ANC and particularly this conference?
This conference actually came at the right time, even though many of the policies will be finalized by the December conference. However, the fact that we are having this conversation here does not remove from us the opportunity to discuss about the current environment, economic environment. Even though we will wait until December, we adopt those policies, it is very clear to us as delegates, but also as leadership, that what comes out of here of discussion will have to filter towards government's plan for ensuring that we build the economy. The Minister of Finance, for instance, is on record as saying that we should be growing the economy at about 5%. And now the recent downgrade and also the technical recession puts a spanner into the plans. However, as government, it is important for us to always have a plan. We do have the National Development Plan, but we need to look at now that we are in this space, because when it was drawn, we were not necessarily in the situation we're in today. So we need to try and be as resilient as we possibly can, practical as we possibly can, by ensuring that we have plans that will assist reverse what we see. And we know that it's been said, countries that are downgraded, it takes quite a while for you to come back to normal. But we believe that if we have a strong plan that will respond to those challenges, working together with our communities, working with the private sector, and also properly coordinating within government, we will be able to make a turn.
Does that plan include entrepreneurship? And South Africa, we're faced with quite a significant number of unemployed people. A significant number of that is youth. That plan, how much of a focus does it have on youth particularly and entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. Out of the 9-point plan, because remember we've got the 30-year plan, which is a National Development Plan. It's quite a big plan and a long-term plan. Government then decided, let's look at the most immediate issues. So there was then a 9-point plan which was drawn out of all the other plans. And part of that 9-point plan is unlocking the potential for small and medium enterprises, which therefore also includes entrepreneurship, also includes focusing on young people, especially because everyone is very much aware of the fact that the bulk of young people are unemployed, and therefore we need to make sure that we focus on young people. It is for that reason that the Department of Small Business Development is focused on programs that are relevant for supporting young entrepreneurship, small and medium enterprises, as well as cooperatives. By the way, I mustn't forget also that our focus goes to the informal sector, because we believe that the informal sector plays an important role. Many of the young people who are at university, at college, at schools, many of them are being supported by men and women who are selling one thing or the other on the streets.
Right. Let's talk about that entrepreneurship, ma'am, and just what areas should young men, young women who are sitting at home watching this broadcast now, what areas should they be looking at stepping into, at addressing in the economy so that their businesses can become successful? As the minister, if you know, how would you advise them? Where must they look into?
Well, the first thing is your own personal organization, because unless you yourself are organized, you know exactly what you want, you know exactly which direction you have to go. My experience in the past 3 years says to me, we need to get young people first and foremost to be organized. They must assist themselves by understanding the economy of South Africa, understand the global economy, but more than anything else, understand the sectors with which they want to do their businesses. And it would also be important for them to look at the government plans, because government is focusing on manufacturing, on agriculture and agro-processing, on renewable energies, on just the sectors which will ensure there is economic growth. And therefore my advice to young people is that have an understanding of that. If you don't have an understanding, get to be assisted. One thing we have as a department is your Small Enterprise Development Agency, which is a non-finance agency that supports people in terms of putting their plans together. Then we have Small Enterprise Finance Agency that focuses on assisting on the financial side. But besides that, it's important for young people not only to look at the Department of Small Business Development. We've got trade and industry that has got incentives that support those that are in the manufacturing sector. They've got incentives of even assisting in the buying of equipment which people need. We've got all over the country, we've got your industrial sites which are being supported by the Department of Finance. But also people must not only look at what is happening at national level. Remember that there's three spheres of government: national, provincial and local. And as a department, we're thinking the most best approach for us to do is to empower the local structures so that when people need something, they don't have to be calling Pretoria all the time. That's why as a department, SEDA and SIFA have got offices in all the 9 provinces, but we would like to expand that and make sure that we also have what we call mobile offices, where there can be a one-stop shop. When people need assistance, they must find almost everything in one place instead of being made to run up and down.
And then, ma'am, the issue of radical economic transformation, it's something that, a buzzword, catchphrase that has been mentioned quite a lot in the lead up to this policy conference. How is that practicalized? What policies must be discussed here to be able to then go back to the people and say, from today onwards or from December onwards, once they've become resolutions, these are the steps that we will practically take to practicalize or to materialize this notion of radical economic transformation?
The first thing that has to be accepted is radical economic transformation itself as a concept, because you have many people who are now beginning to say we are being populist about it, we're just saying it for the sake of saying it. That's not the fact. The fact of the matter is that we have to address the imbalances of the past, which therefore means we've got the political power, the democracy, and the strong institutions of democracy that we have around us. However, in the 23 years, we have realized that democracy and its institutions alone will not necessarily address, from an economic point of view, the challenges facing African people, black people in particular. There's poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Everybody has to accept that concept, that radical economic transformation has to happen. We need to do things a bit differently than we had been doing before. We need to look at how far did we manage in delivery in as far as economic empowerment is concerned. So, for instance, now we have the discussion about the mining charter, and there's a whole lot of arguments around it. Those that have been benefiting from our mining are suddenly saying to us, no, this is very radical. Let's talk about it. We don't have a problem in having a conversation and discussing, because we also don't want to mess up with the economy. However, the economy, we cannot be comfortable with an economy that still only benefits a few and the ones that held the economy in the past. So what we want to do coming out of here, all the policies that are in place, for instance, in my department, we're looking at the 30% procurement. I was actually told today that this procurement was done even in the 90s and not much noise was made about it. 30% procurement. What does that mean for small and medium enterprises? How can they access the opportunities both in government and the private sector so that they are given the opportunity to procure and make sure that they get paid, by the way, on time?
Ma'am, as much as I'd love to continue this discussion, unfortunately, we only have a limited amount of time, but I'm hoping that we'll have another opportunity to get to engage and maybe dig a little bit deeper and engage, and so that we get to understand a little bit deeper what the policies are and how to practicalize them.
Yes, absolutely. Tomorrow I'm also doing the morning breakfast where I will be able to even go deeper into what exactly we want to see happening in terms of the policy proposals that are going to be here in relation to small and medium enterprise, entrepreneurship and cooperatives.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Well, that was Mamulindi Wezulu, who is the Minister of Small Business Development in the cabinet of President Jacob Zuma. We will continue to bring you live updates from the National Policy Conference that's taking place here at the Nasrec Expo Center. But for the time being, from me and the team, it's back to you guys in studio.